True meditation is a means of being calm. So meditation is a process by which we still the body and then we still the mind. Yeah. So when we still the body, to still the body, we find a quiet place to meditate so that the 5 states from which we interact with this physical world are all brought within. A sense of sight, through which we see the other objects of this world, a sense of hearing, through which we hear all the sounds, a sense of smell, a sense of taste, and a sense of touch. So these are the 5 senses through which we operate. So being still or stilling the body means that our attention, which is the outer expression of our soul, is not going out of the body through these senses, but that we withdraw our attention within so that the movement on the outside doesn't change. Let's say your eyes are open and you see someone and people are moving or cars are coming, then you get distracted. So that the outside world won't distract us, that's why we close our eyes. We try to have an area where there's not too much sound, because if there's sound, then our attention goes to the sound through our ears. And so we try to find a quiet place. Same thing with the smell, taste and touch. So as we find a state in which we can sit down and meditate, and as we close our eyes, what happens is that we get bombarded by thoughts. Thoughts about the past, thought about the future, thought about a doctor's appointment or a taxes coming next week. All kinds of thoughts, or the basketball games or whatever else is going on. We get thoughts. Now the thoughts are originating from the mind. And to still the thoughts, we focus the mind on God. Yeah. And as the mind is focused on God, then the thoughts of the world outside are not distracting us. So it's in the stillness in the body and the stillness of the mind that we are able to meditate. Now when we meditate, then within ourselves we experience what are called the 2 primal manifestations of God, that being the divine light and the divine sound. Now there are different practices to experience the divine light, there are different practices to experience the divine sound. Now once we do experience them, then from within there is this confirmation that these 2 primal manifestations of God are there. Yeah. So when there is that confirmation that these 2 primary manifestations of God are within ourselves, then the realization sets in that God is within ourselves. When the realization sets in that God is within ourselves, then anxiety goes away. Because anxiety is fear. Anxiety comes into our life because we fear the unknown. And we are not sure what is going to happen either in a certain circumstance or at a certain time. And so we get anxious. Let's say there's an exam coming. So we don't know what the paper would be like, and so we're very anxious. Will we know the subject? Will we pass the subject? And same thing with all kinds of other examples. So anxiety comes into our life. And as we realize God is within us, as we experience the divine light and sound of God, which are the 2 primal manifestations of God, then from inside we are very happy and fulfilled. Because when the realization is there that God is with us, then there's nothing to worry about. Then we know all things are going to be correct. And so the presence of God is what takes our anxiety away. We also have emotions, and emotions come in because of interactions with all other beings. We interact with our pets, animals, dogs, cats, or whatever we have, and there's interactions. And in those interactions, sometimes things happen the way we want them. Many times they don't happen the way we want them. So whenever things happen the way we want them, we have emotions of happiness, but we don't call it emotions. We say we are happy. But as soon as things happen which are contrary to what we want, We say, boy, it's an emotional downer. Those are emotions too, and those are emotions too. But the emotions which go along with what we want, make us happy. But the ones that we are not happy about, then we, start to feel bad and say, oh, my life is too much emotions today, I can't do anything. Okay? So now when we meditate, when we connect with the divine light and sound of God within, when we realize that God is within us, then the realization also sets in that God is within someone else too. I'm not special that God is within me, but when I realize that God is within me, I also internally realize that a part of God has to be in someone else also, because they're human beings too, they're just like me. So then, instead of seeing someone as being very different from us, which is what becomes the cause of our emotions, we start to realize that everyone is one and the same. And when we find that oneness as being the thread that binds all of us together, then there's no question of emotions. Because whenever you think, there are no emotions by yourself. Emotions only come in when there's another party involved. But if there is no other party, everyone is the same, which is what meditation makes us realize, then the emotional aspect of a being is curbed. And so there are no emotions to bother us, because then we realize that everyone is one and the same, and whatever happens is the right thing that should be happening, and then you're happy.